Downtown Owego.
Downtown Owego?
Yeah, downtown Owego, right here.
Every time we hear of potential heavy rain coming, we hold our breath.
In Appalachian, a muddy coat of dust shows just where the Susquehanna River used to be.
I was wondering, am I going to see these flood walls collapse? Am I going to see Binghamton get washed away?
The cab in the bottom here was filling up with water, so I had to lift my feet up just to keep from getting wet.
Neighbors had to throw out everything this afternoon. First appliances and furniture, then insulation and drywall.
Seeing the piles of garbage that people had to throw away was hard. It just gave a new meaning to the word grief.
I'm sure there's still people out there that never recovered from it.
Hard to believe it's been 10 years.
12 News presents A Decade Since Disaster, the 2011 flood.
Here in the Southern Tier, we have a love-hate relationship with the rivers. They provide us with drinking water, habitat for wildlife, and recreational opportunities. However, life along the rivers has its downsides. Our team will bring you the stories of the Southern Tier tonight. We lived in the Southern Tier when the Chenango and Susquehanna rivers began rising and kept rising.
We see a leak form in the Gulf.
Yes.
And the atmosphere was just driving right at us.
A river of moisture from the Gulf and from a hurricane in the western Atlantic would be responsible for and only hours away from altering the lives of many in the Southern Tier.
Hurricane Katia was out in the western Atlantic.
And because it was out to sea, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it turned out it was playing a very important role in the situation. So you have two Atlantic streams, or two tropical streams of moisture coming into this area loaded with hills.
Yeah.
And it was just the time bomb.
The damage here in the Southern Tier during 2011 was extensive. The National Weather Service reports that in New York and Pennsylvania, $1 billion in damage was reported. Some of that right here in Conklin. Alex Ladstetter reports.
You never bury the past. It's there. It's always going to be there. So if you can't talk about it, then you haven't moved on.
For longtime Conklin residents Willie and Sharon Platt, talking about the past is what helped them move on from the flood of 2011. The high water left their community in shambles. Current town supervisor Bill Dumian says it feels like they were just getting back on their feet.
So Conklin was looking like we were getting rebuilt, things were better, and all of a sudden, unfortunately, the major river flood in 2011 occurred. Right back to where we had been in 2006.
Here in the town of Binghamton and the city of Binghamton, substantial flood damage occurred. But officials tell us it wasn't the floodwaters that they remember, it's the images once the floodwaters receded. Scott Cecina explains.
Oh no, I can't believe this is happening again.
Binghamton, like so many other areas around the Southern Tier, couldn't escape the floodwaters in 2011. Former Binghamton Mayor Matt Ryan led the city through multiple floods and knows it took a serious toll on those living in the area.
Well, I remember especially the south side got hit in all three of the 2 floods in 2006 and the flood in 2011. That business district over there got really hit. Now you could see how just how devastating it was for those people, some who didn't return.
Ryan says their experience with past floods gave them a leg up in responding during 2011.
We were somewhat prepared because we had gone through the same thing in 2006.
As the waters rose, people were forced to run. But heroes came to the rescue, bringing supplies and helping people trapped. Caitlin Pearson shows us never-before-seen video shot during the National Guard's 204th Engineer Battalion's critical mission.
So this is the cab here, so this is where I was riding.
2 vehicles.
These are the trucks that we used for that mission.
2 soldiers. Major Kevin O'Reilly and Sergeant Christopher Hatala with the New York Army National Guard were part of 2 very important missions during the floods of 2011.
I was with one of the units under the 204th. We had just gotten back from Afghanistan. And a couple of months went by. I was just coming back from my honeymoon, and all of a sudden, the hurricanes hit.
Major O'Reilly led a team tasked with rescuing people stranded in hotels in Owego.
I think it was about 50 people in one hotel, about 25 in another, that needed to move. They had been stuck there for probably 2 days. One of the